everyone, all of the Serenity Press readers and Leanne Murner everyone who's watching this, hello and welcome to this amazing celebration of not just one, but 6 books. Leanne Murner, you do it in style, hey? Welcome.
Sure do, thank you.
Well, what an adventure it has been. What, over 18 months? Will we say 18 months?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
6 books in 18 months, like that is, do the math and just go, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. And we'll be talking about we'll be talking to Kat Fox, who's the illustrator, very shortly, because she's been the creative genius behind this. But can we just go back to the start and where you had the calling for these books?
So beginning of last year, I was gathering a heap of information. I wanted to be able to make some puzzles to teach kids about Australian native plants, and my boys had been asking a lot of questions. I had got a heap of information together to make it into a puzzle, but there was just so much that I think would be lost to be able to create it into a puzzle. And someone said, why don't you put it into a book? So yes. It's not something I thought I would ever be doing. And I thought about it obviously for a few days, and then woke up at 4 o'clock one morning and Frankie and the Banksia come out. So that was actually based on a bit of a story that Frankie had. So the journey just started from there, and now all the boys have got their own books.
Isn't it? It is that. They've all been so patient, haven't they? You know, waiting for their book to come out. But here we are 18 months later, and it's such an achievement to have a collection of 6 books, and what a collection they are. We knew we were smiling when we seen them all together. You're like, that was the vision. It's actually better than the vision, isn't it?
And to have them all replicate, like Kat did such an amazing job with getting all the characters literally looking like the real life characters. So that has just been amazing. So as I said, I had one of the boys, which is Louis in the grass tree behind you. When I bought the first proof home, he slept with it. So that was, I've got a photo of that. Now, team are so proud that they've got their own books.
Yeah, it's the best. And you're even on the cover of one of them, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, as I said, I made it on one.
So, you know, being an author is not, you know, you create books that align with your brand. So you are the owner of 5 Little Bears. So you create educational products. Can you share a little bit with everyone about that? Because it gives us a greater understanding as to where the passion came for these books.
So I started the business back in 2018. I was looking to be able to create some puzzles that were based around Australian theme. All kids know what an elephant and a giraffe is, but not necessarily what a wombat or a Tasmanian devil was. So I had started to create some puzzles all based around Australian theme. And I think that's where I realised that there was such a massive market for that, where I really wanted to expand the range. But expanding the range to be able to keep a child engaged as well as them get something out of it is really hard. So with the books, like I've even had a couple of teachers come back and said, I actually learned a lot from the book too, why they were reading it to the kids. So that's been good as well, because like I said, I've learned a lot in the journey as well as the kids as well.
It is that, isn't it? You're genuinely interested in learning yourself. So you brought that into it for us parents or carers or teachers who are reading it to, you know, we can learn, and there's references at the back and all of that wonderful stuff. And can you tell us about Puppy John and how he is such an integral part of these books?
Yeah, so when I had started to learn about it, so John's my stepfather, and he used to be head of land care, so he has such a broad knowledge on all native plants, all animals. So I was able to work with him on just gathering the information, and it's just as I was just gathering the information, I could just see who was going to be working with this plant and just all the little quirks to the child working with the plant. But he's been such a massive input to the books, giving me all the information.
Yeah, that's your research, isn't it?
Yeah. No, but it's good heading out to their place for the day and just sitting, just chatting with him is pretty much what we've been doing. And then he just explains things. And I'm like, all right, now we just got to explain it now in a, like, numb it down a little bit for the kids. But the kids would be sitting there listening too. So the kids did help a lot with it. And like I said, that's just been such a great journey to be able to do that with my boys as well.
And just before we bring Kat up, because I've been on this journey with you of writing these books, and I know what it's like when you write a series of books. You anticipate they're going to go this sequence, but whenever I love your process, like your stories, you go and accumulate all the information, so you've got all the data, and then the story calls to be written, and it just purges out of you, doesn't it? It just comes.
It does.
Yeah, and there was one that wasn't coming that you, and so another one came first. So that was obviously the way it was supposed to be. I just love and that you honor the process of that to the end, you know. And can you share a bit about the experience that you had with that?
Yeah, well, the first one was obviously I gathered the information on all of the plants, but Frankie and the Banksia was actually about us losing a child at a caravan park. So we were all going for a bike ride. Frankie decided to wander off from the pack, and 45 minutes later, we find him up a tree feeding lorikeets with apples. So he'd gone back to the van, got some apples, and then gone to feed them while we were all on our bike ride. So that starting there, and then Oliver goes, all right, well, I want mine next. But I wrote Oliver's and it just wasn't working for me. I think I'd sort of pushed myself to write it next, but I just put that on the back burner and then started the next. So when I actually wrote Oliver's last, another book actually come out. So there is another book that isn't part of the series, but it's just amazing how obviously it was meant to be last, and then something else come out of it as well. So that's obviously been another amazing journey as well.
It is honoring the creative process, isn't it? And I can't wait for us to show, isn't it, My Willow Home? You know, whenever that comes, it's the most beautiful book, and we'll do a beautiful launch around that when it comes. But you have honored the process of these, and it hasn't felt like a chore. It was just this rhythm that you got in with, and you got in with the absolute amazing Kat Fox, and that rhythm just happened, didn't it? We're just going to bring Kat up. Welcome, Kat.
Hello, how are you? Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're good. We're good. How are you? You have been a busy bee over the past 18 months, bringing these 6 books and lots of other book babies into the world. Can you share with us a little bit about your experience of this series?
Oh, look, I really enjoyed it. I really got to know the characters. It was quite amazing that Leanne had to send me lots of photos of her children. I got to know her children as well. And it was quite funny when I look at the first book of the drawings to me compared to the last one. I think their likenesses came through more as the books progressed. Leanne was an absolute delight to work with. Working with Leanne had a clear vision. Normally with authors or publishers, I sort of get to just do my thing. And Leanne came with a clear vision, so she could actually visually see what she wanted, but she couldn't physically draw it. So it was quite interesting to work alongside her with her notes she gave me, and in some ways it made it a lot easier for me because I could just use her notes and it was an instruction. So I enjoyed it. And the interesting thing is I actually learned loads about Australian natives, wild fauna, flora, animals. And another thing that's really interesting is I now have this real obsession with them. Like I even go in my area, I'm going, oh my God, I know what that is. And when I buy flowers now, I only buy Australian natives. I learned so much through Leanne's words, to be honest, and I've shared it with my own children.
Absolutely. And isn't it for an illustrator, the first book is always the one that takes the time because you're getting the style down. And once you have that, then the rest kind of flow.
Yeah, the first one is always hard when you're working on a series of books. it's getting that character to look right. Poppy John was the main character that flowed through all the books, and then I had different kids, and then I realised, oh God, some of the kids are popping up in other books, and so I had to refer to them. And I was like, I changed that kid. Oh no, I've made him thinner, taller, fatter. And I think finally Leanne and I we've ended up really good friends as well through this whole process, because the difference is when you work alongside a publisher, you birth this together, so you create a bond with the book, because it's like our baby, even though they're Leanne's words, it's her vision. You kind of get that sense that you're parents with these books. It's bizarre. I'm married to Leanne now.
And here they are in the birth. This is the day, the birth of your babies. 6 tuplets.
I actually can't believe this is probably it's not my first series, is it, Karen? But
we're still working on ours, Karen.
I'm doing a monster one there. But yeah, this probably was my second series. I've worked on a few others now. I'm working on a few other series, and I actually quite enjoy them because you really get to know. You sink your teeth into the style, and as you actually go through the books, it gets quicker to do. Your characters, you know how they move. It's like being a director of a play, basically.
Absolutely.
A film producer. Yeah.
Well, I think there was about 1 million emails with the first one, backwards and forwards, asking the questions, and in the last few, I just sent them through, and you've just done them. Like it's good when you're knowing what all the style is now as well.
I think it makes it easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes the process easier, and it's like working with Karen. It's sort of now she doesn't have to input anything really. I always like to send through my first draft of my storyboard, and that was another funny thing. When I started with Leanne, I was really neat with the storyboard, and as we got on, she didn't care. I was just doing really rough sketches, and she was like, "Yeah, that's fine. That looks okay." And it's as I get to know the amazing authors I work with, we get to the point that we don't need the posh. You just jump. Okay, Kat, that's fine. That's it.
There is that trust though, and that bond that you build up together, and you have that, because people, authors will know that the end product is that's going to be of high, you just know that you're going to produce the goods. That's the things we go, oh yeah, she's got all the things that need to be there. Yeah, just go for it.
I think the good thing with Leanne and I is we are sometimes we can work like we had a good synergy with pumping things out. I think we had that trust. The book was coming out. That's fine. I knew once I had a deadline, I just smash it out. I try and do it. And I think as an illustrator, I think my business background helps me with that. I think with working, I was just going to say, generally for authors working with illustrators, you can see sometimes they're amazingly talented, but can they deliver the goods? And that's a really important thing in the, unless you work on some people want a specific style and they're happy to work on their book over the next 2-3 years. But if you actually want to get your book in the market, you need illustrators that work a bit like designers, I personally feel.
One of the things I want to share is, and it's important that people get this insight, is that it's not always that authors and illustrators get to work so closely together. I love it. I encourage it all the time. I don't like to be a wedge or a funnel that things have to go through, because that ends up, I believe, stunting the creative process. But quite often, a manuscript will go to the publisher, and maybe the publisher and illustrator will never meet. It's bizarre, isn't it? And there's very little input from the author but this is like magic, when the author and the illustrator come together, get into a rhythm and actually have a really close bond. That's what you see, and that's what you feel coming from the books as well. It just gives it this added dimension, it really.
I was going to say, I had an interesting conversation I had with, this is a name drop. Jackie French said she loves to honour the illustrator. She feels that a book is a birth of two people in synergy together, that it's two minds coming together and they're equal talent together. And she said that's her journey with children's book writing. She honours the illustrator and the author together. And I've experienced both, working where I've never spoken to the author as well as this. And I just love being able to communicate to the author, because that's where the excitement happens. That's where you birth ideas together, and sometimes it changes the written text. So the illustrator adds a subtext to the author's words, and sometimes the author may go, actually, I'm going to alter the text a little bit, and vice versa, I feel.
Yeah, I think we did a bit of that with some of the illustrations, where I think what I had written down, you went, oh, I think this will work, and you just sort of did a rough draft, and it just where, especially in the beginning where I didn't know what I was doing. As I said, I've messaged Karen and I'm like, what do we do with the cover? She goes, oh, we'll pick one of the pictures, where it's just like, I thought there'd be just a whole other cover. So it's definitely been such a learning journey as well. But I think what you have in your head and actually what comes out, it's been really nice to have someone else's input on there as well.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely fun.
Yeah, I love it whenever the cover of a children's book is captured from the actual.
She's frozen.
Yeah.
We can just keep talking. She's frozen out. But just keep talking, Leanne, about the book. What I was going to talk about.
There we are. Can I just share something really exciting here? I just want to share something really exciting. It is Poppy John's birthday today. Happy birthday, Poppy John.
Yay! Yay!
That is pretty special.
I know, that's what, when I told him, and he goes, oh, that's just a great day.
Tell him I feel like he is part of my soul now. So, you know, that's really special to share that.
Yeah. And that, did you pick, Karen picked the date too, so that had nothing to do with me.
I said, well, this meant to be, absolutely. I love it whenever synergy, whenever serendipity comes into play. One of the things we would love to do is see an interview with Leanne and Poppy John together. So maybe I can even facilitate it if you want, but that would be so good.
What about adding some of the kids in there?
Oh, wow, that'd be wild. I actually went and videotaped Louis in the beginning of the book underneath some grass trees. So I've got a heap of video that I want to put together, because he pretty much reenacted that story where he's hiding in the plant and the giggles he's got coming out. It was just such an amazing day with him to reenact it. But yeah, I've got to get it all put together. But that was just
book trailer. I'm happy with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Leanne sent me she'd send me the videos as well. So I'd get the update. I was just going to say something, like you have bloopers with movies. Leanne had sort of me when I work. Sometimes I jump in, don't I? And I read the text, but then I just go for it. And when there are a few times where I've forgotten certain things, and you're like, what have you done there? Why have you missed this whole, that's not a plant. That's not, it was, for example, might have been a plant I was drawing, and I got the wrong plant. For some plant, I got it wrong. I drawing something completely different to what you meant.
I think it was a bush, and you did a huge big tree.
I think it was. Scale is really interesting. Yeah. If you are writing a book and you are communicating to an author, please communicate the scale of things, because I think I was making, at one stage, I was making the grass trees. Either I was making them really tiny, and I wasn't researching.
I think some of the animals were as big as the people, I think, in the beginning too. Just when you look at the scale.
Humans were the same, and I was like, what am I doing here? So, and there's a tip for illustrators: slow down.
It's hilarious.
Everything in place, and ask the questions instead of thinking you know it all.
Oh. Kat, we love you for it, and we love what you've done with this series. So thank you so much for being part of this, showing up, and being part of this coming together. It's just amazing.
So I've really enjoyed it. It's quite sad it's over. When it's over, you kind of feel lost for a while.
Yeah. It's all right. Minky Monk can keep you going for another while.
You will keep me going for the next 5 years.
I'm going to pop you down, but don't go anywhere. We'll be finishing up soon, so we'll keep you backstage, okay? Isn't there so much to learn? But even, Leanne, like the moral of the story, one of the most harrowing things for a mother is to lose your child, for 25 full minutes I've lost a child for 2 minutes before and it felt like hours, your heart. And then, to turn that into something really creative, using that as to share a story that then turned into 6 stories, it's amazing how you answered that call.
And that was another thing John had said, because we'd been away for a week and we come back and he just goes, oh, how was the holiday? And I'm like, oh, I said, we lost Frankie. And he goes, oh, what was he doing? And I said, he's up a tree with a bird with an apple, and he's just gone right there. So because that's what I was discussing with him, like, how am I going to put this in a book now? So it was just that light bulb moment, and I went and so that's it. I've gone back through all the photos where all of our photos were just him holding apples, feeding birds. So beginning of that holiday, he didn't realise that birds ate fruit as well. So that was something that's the big thing in the book, learning that how many different things that they eat. So as I said, it's just been a wild ride, but it's been such an amazing ride.
Oh my goodness. I am trying to get up our page that we have with all of the wonderful things on it, so people can go and check out. We'll have this interview on it as well, but I'm just going to see if we've got it here so that we can. Oh, I do, so I can share. 1 second, I'm going to share my screen so people can see. Chrome tab. There we go. And also, I highly recommend, and we pop the links underneath all of these recordings, I highly recommend you go and check out 5 Little Bears, and there's a link here, 5 Little Bears bookstore. But look at that. Look at all 6 of those books. What a collection to have on your shelf. Amazing, amazing. There's a link to each of them in the Serenity Press bookstore. They're all on Kindle as well. So if you want to go and grab your Kindle version as well, and help us get to number 1. We're going to do a number 1 campaign. Leanne will set that date. But if people want to get the ball rolling there, they can grab their Kindle version. And there's you and your beautiful family. I love that photograph of you guys.
Oh, it was, we literally turned up at the beach, got that photo, and then everyone got wet. We had an accident with the baby. It was just, we're lucky we got that photo.
Yeah, that's a treasured moment. And there's Kat. And also, well, there we are here. This is this interview that we're doing right now. But Frankie and the Banksia, you sent it through to the New York City Big Book Awards, and you got gold. You are our only author who got gold. So huge.
Thank you. I squealed when I got the email, and the other lady at work just come up. She goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh my God, it's just won gold." So, and it was, I'd entered it and never sent the books away. And the lady contacted me and said, like, we need your books. So I had to DHL ship them because I just forgot all about it. So thank God that she messaged me to say you need to send them. So we DHL'd them straight to America, and obviously they made them in time, which was just, but it's such an amazing achievement. I'm still in shock that that it won.
It has been a very beautiful awards for you, Leanne, but all you are one of the people that I admire because you work so hard. But it's not easy to get one of those gold awards. So just bask in it all, and wait to see an award-winning book series. And down the bottom we have all of the books there scrolling across. See, don't they look just so beautiful? Just wanted to share that page, and you can get that at serenitypress.org. Australian Bush series, we call it. Okay, stop sharing, and here we're back. Leanne, do you want to say anything to anybody before we go?
I think just obviously thank John and Karen and Kat and just everyone that's, I suppose, been able to bring this to life. Like I said, the encouragement I suppose I've had, like, to write my first one, and then you're just going, like, if they're coming, just let them come out, where I would have, like, not being an author, I wouldn't have known that, like, how long to leave it in between them. But I think if you have a calling to do something, progress with it, because obviously now it's led to like 18 months later, I've now got 7 books that I've written, where I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I would be a children's book author.
An award-winning children's book author, let me just tell you.
In such a short amount of time. But yeah, I think just definitely getting out of your comfort zone to do stuff is just mind-blowing that what you can achieve.
Yeah, and you're the one who did the work, so huge kudos to you, and you deserve every accolade. But do take time to smell the roses and celebrate the launch of 6 books at one time. And everyone, I highly recommend you get these on your shelves. Not only are your kids going to learn from them, you are going to learn from them as well. I absolutely love the passion you have for educating people about Australian wildlife and flora and fauna. Amazing.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much, Leanne, and thank you to everyone for watching. Please share and let everyone know about these books. Get everyone over to 5littlebears.com because it is such a special website, such amazing educational activities there for your kids that will keep them entertained and active over the Christmas period. So get them under the tree. Bye, everyone.
Bye.